Hello, so today I wanted to walk through the implementation of bubble sort. Um, I am doing a series on how different sorting mechanisms work, and it just makes sense to start off with bubble sort. It is one of the most inefficient algorithms that are out there, but it is integral in understanding algorithmic analysis and sort of starting your education in CS and learning more efficient ways of doing things. So it's helpful to know about it. And so what I wanted to do today was sort of walk line by line and show what it is that this code is doing. I want to explain it in a way where if you were to tell a 5-year-old that they would understand. So basically what bubble sort is doing is that it's going element to element and it's checking within that array the element before it and the element after, and is switching the position of them if they are not sorted correctly. So if you want to sort in ascending order and you're passed in an array into your function where the first element's 2, second element's 3, third element's 1, 7, 3, 4, what bubble sort does is that it'll go through the array element by element until it comes upon a point where the next element ahead, the I plus 1 element, is less than the element that it's on currently. So in this example, it would start off looping through 2, then it checks 3. 2 is less than 3, so it does not meet that conditional statement, so it moves on. And then we're now at element 3. And it checks element 3 against element 1, and lo and behold, that is less than element 3, so it switches their positions and everything else remains the same. And then it loops through again, starting at 2, then checks 2 against 1, and since 2 is greater than 1, it switches those positions. Now we have our array looking like this. And then on the next iteration, it's going to loop through, and this is going to pass its check, 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 this is not going to pass its check, and it's going to switch positions once more. And then we do it once more. We're at that last element. We do one more parse through, and we see that everything is in the correct order. So how would we want to implement this? I highly recommend implementing this without looking at any source code first. To try to do it from memory, then check back to the solutions once you're done. But anyway, I'll walk through the function and explain what's going on. So you have your bubble sort array function statement, and you're passing in an array input. What you want to do is initialize a passed through variable. This is the variable that you are going to change to true, which is going to take you out of your while loop after one complete pass through of the entire array. Because you know if you pass through the entire array, that everything's sorted, because it won't find an element that's bigger than it in an I plus 1 position. So as it's going through each element in this array, we have a for loop that checks whether or not the element above it is actually the element that's one index above it is less than the element it's currently at. And what we want to do is declare a temporary variable to point to the same number that this is initially referencing, because we're going to lose this number after we redefine it on the next step, as and we want to swap their position. So what we do is we swap the position, and then we break out of this for loop. What this break statement is doing is it breaks out of the first for loop and not the second for loop. It breaks out of this statement, and we have another conditional where if it passed through, if the index right now is equal to the last index of the array.length minus 1 is always the last index, then we know that we have gone through every element and they're all in ascending order, so we can just exit out of this while loop. But until this condition is met, it's going to keep resetting the I variable at 0, because every time this while loop reinitiates, this var declaration basically just resets. It resets the index variable back to 0, and we just keep looping through until we find an element where the element ahead of it is less than the element before it, and we do the same thing and we swap, and we keep doing this until we get a solution, until this passes through and we abort out of this while loop, and in the end we can just return the array. So it's a pretty simple implementation. To play around with it, try to implement it without looking at any code, and just have the theoretical knowledge in hand. What I've seen work is setting a 30-minute timer and seeing if you can pass and just struggle through that 30 minutes. And even if you reach a point where after 10 to 15 minutes you're not really doing anything, it doesn't really matter. Just keep pushing, and eventually, once that 30 minutes is up and you haven't come to a solution, you can go back, look at the solution, and re-implement it from memory. And if you keep doing that, you'll for sure have this algorithm or any other algorithm stick, and it'll eventually intuitively make sense. And these things just require time, so keep practicing at it.